Oh, hello, Father. Come in.
Oh my. Son, are you okay?
I'm not going to lie, Father. I think I don't have much longer.
What? What are you?
Father, I asked for you to come here today to ask an important question. It may be the last question I ask of you.
Please, whatever you need, ask me.
I need you to adopt my son.
What?
Please, Father, I need him to have a life he deserves. He's a strong boy, and I know he'll make a noble soldier one day.
I feel as if I have no choice but to say yes to this request. Is there really no other option?
I fear not. My wife has fallen victim to the relief her cups bring her.
Hey, honey, who's here?
Oh, I see.
Please help me. Help your grandson.
Okay, son.
Thank you, Father. I always knew you were such a reasonable man.
So, Father, do you have anything you would like to tell me?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, are you completely certain that you have no information regarding something so important that it might alter the entire course of our lives?
Oh, well, son, there may be one small addition to our family.
How are you excited about this? This wretched child has no place in our family. I cannot believe you were even considering this.
Well, son, I'm not considering it.
Whew! For a second there I thought,
It is already done.
what?
Yes, you are to have a new brother. He is packing his things as we speak.
Absolutely not. You must be insane. Actually, you are insane. I have no choice but to take you to court, Father. You are jeopardizing our family name.
Well, it's been quite an uneventful morning. I can't believe the only case we've seen this morning is about a carriage violation.
Well, I think you might be pleased. We have quite the dramatic case up next.
What's next?
Ooh, should I order some popcorn before we progress?
You might just have to. This next case is about a father who disinherited his eldest son. The disinherited son betook himself to a prostitute and acknowledged a son by her. He soon after fell ill and sent for his father. When his father came, he entrusted his son to him and then died. After the son's death, the father adopted the boy. He's accused of insanity by his youngest son.
Oh my.
Popcorn!
One cannot begin to imagine the sadness caused by the loss of a family member. But greed has caused my other son to not only feel rage. He is not sad that his brother, whom he grew up with, has died so suddenly. Instead, his primary concern is with the potential division of his inheritance. In deciding between how much money my son will get and whether I will allow my grandson to live on the streets, there is one obvious answer. I must honor my son's final request, as no child should be raised in such circumstances.
What a fickle situation we have been put in now. I would never have believed that this case to be such a heart-wrenching one.
I feel as if it only may get worse, my friends. This next part of the oration could possibly top this one for pulling at our heartstrings.
Goodness gracious, we're only through the exordium and we've already run out of tissues.
Well, we're certainly going to need more for the narration. According to Cicero in Book 1 of the De Inventione, the narration is meant to be an explanation of the events that have, or have not, occurred relevant to the case. These are the three general kinds of narratives: the case and dispute, digression beyond case limits, amusement and training. Generally, a narrative, regardless of which kind, will focus on either the events of the person involved. Event-focused narratives have three potential routes: fabula, historia, and argumentum. However, the narrative is constructed to be concerned with persons involved, looks more at the characters' mental attitudes, conversations, and events directly to do with the characters and their state. These narratives concerning individuals generally should be portrayed with great vivacity, surrounding things like hope, fear, disaster, and happy endings. Making this portion brief, so as not to include more than necessary, clear, timeline not to be obscured or confused, and plausible, believable according to real life, able to occur, is the necessary for crafting a comprehensive narration.
Well, we shall continue then. This one sounds like it might be lengthy.
We shall.
My son had always been vocal about his dislike of every component of my profession as a military general. It is true, we fought often, for I believe that the greatest thing a man could do is assist in defending Rome's honor on the battlefield. Other than, of course, members of Roman court proceedings. My eldest son and I never reached an occupational agreement, and after a heated argument, I threatened to disinherit him. My son saw this as an opportunity to claim his freedom from the expectations I had of him, and he willingly accepted his disinheritance. Not long after, my eldest son had set out on his own. He found a troubled young woman weeping on the street. After talking, they soon figured out that they had suffered similar tribulations in life, for they had both failed to live up to their parents' expectations of them, both resulting in disinheritance. Despite discovering that her profession was that of a woman who sold her body for the pleasures of other men, my poor son fell in love. You see, he had an excessively altruistic heart, and he felt composed to free this woman of her occupational duties. Soon thereafter, she became pregnant and was gifted with a healthy and strong boy. They lived a frugal life, for my son never made enough money to do anything except support his family's needs. Their needs were fine by any standard, until my son fell quite tragically ill. His wife had no option but to return to her original occupancy in order to keep her family afloat, and it took a deep toll on her. The return to the life of a prostitute came with many tribulations, and she soon turned to copious amounts of alcohol to escape the unfortunate reality that her life had turned into. Consequently, she was constantly away from home, and when she was only there physically. It was not long after this that my eldest son reached out to me, pleading for my help. I was at first shocked that he would dare ask for my help after accepting his disinheritance so willingly, but I quickly realized how much he needed me. On his deathbed, my eldest son asked me to forgive him of his unbecoming actions as a man and save his son from a lonely life in poverty. When I went to meet him on his deathbed, it was vividly clear to me that his wife had no means of taking care of a child, my grandchild. It was then that I came to my senses. As my grandchild clung to my robe tails and my son wept for my forgiveness, it was my duty as a father to accept this child as my own. I could not and would not deny the request of my dying eldest son. Nevertheless, once my youngest son heard the news of this adoption, he deemed me insane. How could one be labeled insane after obeying their eldest son's dying wish and possibly saving a blood member of my own heritage? My now only son bears the argument that I must be insane to adopt a child born from such a woman, even suggesting that the child may not even be truly related to us.
Well, that was quite moving.
Yes, I agree. The father did a very good job at setting the stage for his argument.
Let's not speak so soon. There's still much left to discuss of this family matter. We need to recognize the claim made by the youngest son, that this child does not have the same blood as their family.
This youngest son sure is being problematic for his family.
We haven't heard the entire argument yet. We mustn't be rash with our decision-making.
We are supposed to be unbiased, you know.
Oh, whatever. What shall we hear next about this unfortunate case?
Well, according to Cicero's advice, up next we should hear the partition. This is the part of the oration where in 130 of the De Inventione, Cicero notes that the orator should let the audience know that the structure for the rest of the narration through the partition. There are two types of partitions. The first type is when we lay out the points that we agree on and disagree on with respect to the opponent. And the second type lays out the topics that as the orator will discuss.
That sounds interesting, Will.
Hmm.
Let's hear it.
I've come to understand that the boy who I decided to adopt may not be related to me or my son. Everyone here sees this possibility, and since there is no definitive way to know the truth, there is no reason I should waste everyone's time on trying to prove it to be false. However, it should be recognized that this is not the position I stand here today to defend against. A fact to be stated is that my late son still acknowledged this boy to be his own son. His dying request was for me to take care of his only son as I have taken care of my own children. My living son now wants to accuse me of insanity for doing my duty as a father. What he does not understand is that there is nowhere for this boy to grow up to his full potential. Now that I must defend my action of adopting this boy, I can see that my son will never be able to realize what true responsibility is.
Is essentially a section that incorporates proof or evidence intended to introduce credit, authority, and support to, in the case, attributes of the persons of their actions can be utilized to help bolster arguments made by particular sides of a case. If a rhetor plans to argue against the defense, Cicero encourages them to detract honor and favorable reputation from the person through their nature, manner of life, interest, or fortune, or any of the attributes of the person that discredit the defendant's character.
After the passing of my son, I intended to act as his father when dealt with his dying wish for me to take care of his only son. Not only would it be acceptable being the newborn's grandfather, it would be demanded considering the outcome of the baby's life. If I were not allowed to come to his aid, there is no one else that would give the baby a chance at life. And now that his grandfather is coming to his aid, there is an objection to saving the baby from a life of misery. What more wretched of a life would a poor soul be bound to other than being the son of a woman who sells her own body to rotten men? That is no suitable environment for a baby boy to be raised out of. The mental toils that would torment his young mind when he reaches the age when he understands his mother's way of life would tear him apart. He cannot possibly be expected to reach his natural potential when its judgment and knowledge would be clouded by the downfalls of his mother. To deny me the ability to take in this child would be denying this child of life. He would be stuck with his prostitute mother in an environment crowded with the dark side of the walks of life. His neighbor would be the beggar, the prostitute, the robber, and all the vices that plague our society. He would in time morph into a product of the environment and become one of these vices that require extermination from society. Allow me to claim ownership of my deceased son's firstborn and prevent the loss of my blood to a life of delinquency and disgrace.
I mean, at this point, I'm not sure why this was even a debate anymore. If I was his father, I would disinherit the son. I would.
There you go, jumping to conclusions again. You forget that the father has yet to defend himself against his son's defaming claims. We need to hear his defense in order to be able to fully declare him either insane or sane. He has proved himself well thus far, but all points against him need to be addressed.
Yes, this is true. Luckily enough, we have the refutation up next.
What?
This is the part of the oration where the refutation exists to impair, disprove, or weaken the confirmation, or proof in our opponent's speech. In order to do so, Cicero suggests using similar sources of invention as utilized in the confirmation. An argument is refuted by showing an assumption is not granted, or the assumption is granted but denied conclusion. The argument is fallacious, or the argument is met with an equally strong or stronger one.
Ah, yes. I can't wait to hear this part. Let us listen.
My youngest son argues that my decision to welcome this child into my home therefore makes me insane. He believes one of two things to be true: that this child of illegitimate birth should not be accepted into my home because the circumstances of his death would cause defamous rumors to our family name. The other is that he should be the sole inheritor to my fortune because of his dutiful will to my expectation of him as a father. These points he brings forth to question my decisions regarding the adoption of my grandchild are understandable, but illegitimate in my eyes. This child's mother may not have the most outstanding and honorable past. It is true. The same is not true for myself. As the jury is well aware, I have led many men into successful battles. My character has been tried at the hands of our enemies, and I have again and again proved to myself to be a man of true Roman honor. I dare people in our city to question my judgment regarding the choices I make within my own family, much less questions for my youngest born son. It is revered fact of the matter that honorable men grant the dying wishes that are placed upon them. I believe it would be more dishonorable to disrespect my eldest son's only wish for me and to cast a young boy out on the streets. Additionally, the question of whether my youngest son's dutifulness should influence my decision to inherit another son. I can confirm my youngest son has been a dutiful son and has lived up to my expectations as the young man I have raised him to be. Yet, after all the wisdom I have bestowed upon him, all of the advantages I have given him, and all of the love I have shown to him, he repays me with a truly dutiful son would not disrespect his father as to disobey him to the lengths of accusing insanity. The gesture alone is enough for the question of his own disinheritance.
Talk about it. Clap back.
I know. I asked for answers, and he sure did give them.
Good luck to the uncle. It seems he doesn't have many cards to play after that bruising response. Now let's see where the father goes with the peroration.
Remind me what this part should entail.
You two should really study up on your Caesarean rhetoric. The peroration consists of a summary of the case, the indignatio, inducing ill will against the opponent, conquestio, eliciting sympathy from the audience. In the summary, one should bring together elements that were not spoken together, as well as present all arguments at once to refresh the audience's memory.
Popcorn.
I stand before you in utter shock and disappointment. After the loss of my beloved child, I thought it best that I adhere to his dying wish and watch over the son he adored so much. Never did I think that his child's uncle, my own kin of blood, would be so adverse to this decision. Now we must face each other in the heat of trial, a situation I would never have thought to find myself in. To describe my son's actions as disgraceful would be a mere understatement as to the shame he has brought upon me. He wishes to sacrifice the health and safety of an innocent child purely for his own gain. When asked what he purposes, he states that the child should be left to fend for his own. Who in their right mind could bestow such a cruel fate upon a defenseless soul? I implore you, place yourself in my shoes. I have outlived my own child, a nightmare's pain far worse than death itself. Amidst my grief, I learned that my son had raised a child of his own, a small light in the pitiful depths of sorrow. This child is now the last bit of connection to my deceased son, and after taking him in, I am faced with backlash and objection from my own son. He claims me insane, a senile old man, and a belligerent fool. I now question the court. Is it insane for a man to take care of his own grandchild? Is it selfish to want to give this child the love and affection I neglected to give his father? While I might not have agreed with my late son's previous action, there was never a point where I felt disdain towards him. Now, after learning of his death, I am faced with the knowledge that I will never be able to see him again, that I will never be able to hold him in my arms, that I will never be able to tell him, I love you, son, and you make me proud. Imagine that, in this world, the only person left in your life is a child who now accuses you of insanity and belittles you for wanting to take in the only reminiscence of your late son. I, however, do not care what bitter names await me. My only wish is to raise this child as my own and give him the care and affection he deserves.
Ooh, what a case!
Yeah, that peroration really had me feeling sorry for the father.
His refutation brought me back on his side too.
So, what are we supposed to do now?
We have to come to a decision as whether or not if the father is actually insane. The whole reason we're here?
Oh, right.
All right, everyone, let's go.
Well, Father, I'll admit that was a very well put together defense. However, I know for a fact the jury will see that you are unfit to adopt.
Oh, son, where did you learn such creed? Unfortunately, I believe the jury does not share your same motivations.
You crazy old man.
So, guys, what are we thinking?
Death sentence!
Whoa, whoa, hey, let's slow down with that verdict.
I don't even think we can have him killed.
Anyway, I believe that the father did an eloquent job at not only staging the information important to the case, but also providing his defense for his actions. Everything he described helped his case immensely.
I agree. How can a man be insane and give such a well-worded and effective speech?
I think we all agree then. Should we tell the family our final verdict?
Yes, yes! It's well past the time I should be getting home. All the popcorn today has been put in my stomach in a compromised position. People of Rome, let it be known that we have reached the verdict that we believe is most honorable.
Come on, come on.
We hereby rule that the father is not insane and may
You
have full
fools!
authority to adopt any son he sees fit.
If this is what the court has decided, then I shall obey it. Shame on you for trying to convict your own father of a claim that you know is false. You are officially uninvited to Thanksgiving and Christmas.